What's up, guys? Lenzerheide wrapped up last weekend, and it looks like the one and only Loic Bruni is once again well on his way to win his 5th World Cup overall title. It has just left me kind of astounded. I was kind of expecting that with the sort of introduction of Jackson, and especially next year, Asa, Max, and Till, that Loic Bruni's sort of winning days and especially his title overall wins were kind of going to start to be over and it was going to get harder and harder. But the dude has proved once again that he is one of the best to have ever done it in this sport. In my opinion, he is arguably the GOAT, and I know that's kind of controversial. Greg Minaar is still widely recognized as kind of the official GOAT, but Greg Minaar only has 3 World Cup overall titles. Loic Bruni, if this year, barring some incident, is very likely to win his 5th. And for me, World Cup overall titles are kind of the creme de la creme. It's what matters the most. It is the most important indicator in terms of your ability as a rider and especially how consistent you're able to be. And as good as Greg Minaar is, he still has the highest overall wins. He's got 4 world championships, but he only has 3 overall titles. And when you compare that to the fact that he has so many wins, it does mean undeniably that Loic Bruni has been more dominant, and it's pretty obvious when you kind of look at the duration of their careers. Now, it's just down to personal opinion, and if Greg isn't first, he's certainly second, but that is kind of besides the point. I am just kind of flummoxed at how good Loic Bruni is. He continues to kind of up his game. I mean, what does he not have going for him? He's GQ good looking. He's got the thickest head of hair you've ever seen. He's probably the most charming rider on the circuit. He's definitely the highest paid. He is a tough man not to like, and that's partly what kind of makes him so annoying is he's kind of got it all. Even with the prodigy that is Jackson, it's looking like he's going to win yet another title, and it's just fascinating. He's really talked about needing to raise his game, and really one of the interesting strategic advantages that he has is obviously consistency, and with more races happening within the season and especially points being awarded to qualifying, that's not a sort of new phenomenon. That was also the case before, but that ability to avoid mistakes, especially with only 20 going through in Q1, and then if you don't make it through Q1, you got to go to Q2. Jackson has had to go, I believe, twice this year to Q2. Loic Bruni, at least as far as I'm aware, is the only rider, at least in the top 20, that has made it through on every single occasion. The amount of points over the course of so far 8 races that you end up making up on your competitors when you are consistently, I mean, I don't know what his worst qualifying position is, but it's been mostly top 5s. And if you win qualifying, you get, I believe, 50 points. And that has really made a big difference this year because Jackson has kind of been all over the place. The first race in Poland, he barely made it in. That is going to be a very significant hurdle, not only for Jackson, but for the upcoming juniors that are going to be racing next year, because obviously it's clear Asa, Till, Max, and Jackson are arguably already faster than Loic. Their absolute speed, and Loic has even talked about that he doesn't quite have that sort of prodigy level speed like a Jackson. And so because of that, he understands that one of the areas that I really do have to kind of utilize to my benefit is the qualifying, the consistency, avoiding those mistakes. And this is what's going to prove really difficult next year for these riders that are going to be moving up for not necessarily their ability to win a race. I believe it's likely that all 4, I mean, Jackson's 4 races this year, so it's not exactly a bold prediction to say he's going to win more next year, but I wouldn't be surprised if Asa, Till, and Max all win races next year. But I gotta say, after this year, seeing how strong Loic Bruni is, he's likely to win the title again next year. Is he going to necessarily be the fastest guy? No, I would say it's undeniable that Jackson Goldstone is a little bit faster, or even quite a bit faster than Loic Bruni. His absolute speed, his best on the day is better than Loic Bruni. But the challenge is he makes mistakes. In that really consequential race at Lenzerheide, where it was pretty much starting from even, it was essentially a 2-race overall battle because Loic and Jackson were dead even. he crashed. It wasn't a huge crash, but it was one of those moments where when the pressure is on, when you need to perform, when you not only have to essentially throw everything down, but you also have to avoid the worst scenario, which is crashing out. Nobody is better than Loic Bruni. He has that sort of ability, like many champions in other sports. When the pressure is the highest, when the lights are the brightest, he performs. And it is this reason that even though he might not always be the fastest, he is likely going to win not only this year's overall title, but I would say he's likely to win next year. It's hard for me to imagine that Max, Till, Asa, and Jackson are going to be able to match his consistency. And how about, when's the last time you remember Loic Bruni having a mechanical? Actually, at World Champs, that wasn't necessarily attributable to him. It did look like there was a fork problem. I don't know if you guys saw the video in that corner, his fork just compressed. That was pretty fluky and not attributable to sort of something on his end. But when's the last time you've seen Loic Bruni get a flat tire? It always kind of makes me laugh how many riders forego the inserts because they prefer the feel and then they end up flatting quite a bit. Rona Dunn is probably the biggest example of a rider that flats. I mean, he seems to have kind of figured it out. Maybe he even discovered, you know what, I might not prefer the feel of the insert, but I can't be flatting every other race. But when's the last time Loic Bruni has flatted, had a mechanical, had an issue? He is just the best in bike setup, in managing the weekend, dealing with the pressure. He's got the speed. He is the total package. In my opinion, he is arguably sort of superseded Greg Minaar in the GOAT conversation because how he has dominated really since Aaron Gwin left. Yes, Amaury Pierron had some really bright moments, but ultimately Amaury was never able to match the consistency. He would typically get hurt, and he was just constantly on this sort of get hurt, rebuild, get hurt. And when you're competing against Loic Bruni that is just stacking season after season of consistency, and you go into the offseason strong, and so instead of just rebuilding, you're just literally, adding maybe 0.5%, 2% to your ability, your fitness, everything else. It's a very difficult formula to beat, and it's why I was honestly, going into the season and after Jackson won 4 races, I was like, this is pretty much it for Bruni. He is probably seeing the writing on the wall that his days of titles are going to be probably behind him. But man, with how he has managed the sort of season after Jackson went on that 4-race winning streak, it continues to reiterate why he is so good and why, in my opinion, he is arguably the GOAT. Greg Minaar, I mean, it's kind of a toss-up. What do you put more value on? I feel that the World Cup overall titles are really, the most important sort of stat to look at because it's really the strongest indicator in terms of, you as a racer, consistency, speed, etc. Different tracks, different weather, but regardless of that, it's going to be exciting. He's likely got this year's title wrapped up, barring some, freak incident. We still have 2 races to go and ultimately 4 races when you combine qualifying. But man, Jackson crashed. It was disappointing because we all wanted to see that nail-biting finish. It's taken a little bit of the excitement out of it, but it's going to be all the more fascinating looking to next year because Jackson Goldstone has yet to go into the offseason with momentum, not having an issue, allowing himself to build. And so it's also really intriguing to imagine what Jackson will look like next year. As strong as he was this year, we know he's obviously had a far from ideal sort of past couple of years. And so I don't think he's nearly at his potential. And I think the same could be said for the juniors that are going to be moving up. But regardless of that, I still believe Loic is likely going to win the overall next year. I don't know if another rider has won 6 overall titles. He's got to win this one first, but if he's not the GOAT already, it's hard to imagine that in another couple of years, he's not going to be just officially the GOAT. Maybe he doesn't get to the overall wins title of Minaar, but what can you say about him? He's got everything going for him. Even though it looks like Jackson is going to steal his crown, he reminds everybody is one of the best to have ever done it. He might be the best. Anyways, it's going to be exciting. The last 2 races are coming up. We got a new venue in North America we've never seen. There's yet to be a course preview, so who knows what that is going to hold. Is Loic Bruni going to be able to clinch another win? Is he going to kind of phone it in, knowing that he has enough of a buffer? It's still pretty close, but anyways, let me know what you guys think. Hope you enjoy the video and leave a comment.